And dispatchers have always kind of known this, but you and I talked offline about real-time crime centers and
Yes.
stuff like that. So, um, something to consider in learning how to help with dealing with mental health issues is these real-time crime centers, because these guys are watching cameras and they are going to see officers get hurt. They're going to see citizens, criminals go do assaults that they can't do anything about.
Mm-hmm.
It takes a whole new element to the stresses that we see, and it's going to amplify it for those particular people. Now, some real time crime centers have civilians, some have sworn peace officers. Where I work, we have all sworn peace officers that do that job, but they're watching. They have access to thousands of cameras throughout the city, and most of the time it's on a hotspot crime area or something like that. And to give you an example, we had about a 12-year-old kid, 14-year-old kid. He had a handgun, and for about 21 minutes, we watched him on camera trying to start fights with people to give him an excuse to use this gun.
Wow.
And you could tell that's exactly what he was doing. We couldn't get anybody over there because our guys were all tied up. And about an hour later, he ended up shooting and killing a homeless guy.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and then we found out that gun was related to other shootings. But that gives you an example. Like, now that officer, I talked to him, and it opened up. The light bulb went off in my head. I'm like, holy shit! Like, that would be rough. To think that you tried to help prevent a homicide
And
and
you
you
couldn't.
couldn't.
Yeah.
So a little bit of survivor's guilt or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's the right term for that particular instance, but
It is. It is in a lot of ways when you think about it. I mean, and it's the same even with. I can't even imagine what that's like for to be able to sit and watch that happening and unfold in front of your eyes. It's one thing a dispatcher being online and listening to it all. That's difficult in itself, but to physically see it as well, that's just a whole
right,
other beast. So yeah,
yeah,
that's tough, and they do need help. And dispatchers in particular, they're the forgotten ones, and they're the ones that are living it while you're experiencing it. Obviously, you're out in
yep.
the field, but they're listening to the people that need help. They're listening to their officers need help. They're trying to
hmm
guide them as best what way they can. And if they can't and they fail, they feel like they failed at that, even though they haven't. They've done their job to the best of their ability. But I mean, they have to live with that as an internal guilt, and that it's like an onion. You keep layering that onion up, it's going to come. It has to come out in some way, shape, or form. It may not come out today. It may not come out tomorrow, but it could come out down the line in a year or two. Nobody knows. There's only so much
Yeah,
you can take.
and just think of the work environment too for dispatchers and for those working in real time crime centers.
Yes.
You're sitting on your ass all day.
Yeah.
That's not good for the
No.
human body in general.
No.
You, Typically, those places don't have windows.
Mm-hmm.
Real time crime centers and dispatch, they don't have windows because they got to be able to see the screens and stuff like that. So, 8, 12, 10 hours, whatever your
It's a
shift
lot.
is of, yeah, sitting and listening to the worst of the worst all day long. You're not hearing positive things
Yes.
for
Exactly.
the most part. So,
Exactly. And I can relate to that because it's funny, when I go home, when I'm here, I'm busy. You're going meeting people, you're doing your work. The sun is always shining, and because I come from Ireland and it rains all the time, like all of the time. So when it's sunny in Ireland, which is a rare occasion, I open all the windows and doors and I go sit out in the yard and I do my work there. So when I'm here, that's what I do. And now when I went home the last time, I found it extremely difficult because homes in America are massive, right? They're huge. My house is tiny. So I have a downstairs room. It's 10 foot by 10 foot. And when I'm at home, I work American hours. So I get up at 10 o'clock in the morning, clean the house, do what I need to do, um, sort out the kids, do the usual mother stuff. Then I go in to that room and I'm in that room till 5 o'clock in the morning. And if it's raining, you can't go out for a walk because it rains a lot and it's dark all the time. So with all the negative stuff that we see and experience, like, we get difficult calls, you get, you're watching the news to see what you can post out to you're following, because we have a lot of people who are civilians as well, and we're trying to educate them to ask themselves, could you do this job, to try and change the narrative as to why an officer might act a particular way when he does a stop, and so on and so on. So I'm reading all these articles, and I'm in that room, and it gets in on you. Like, you feel like the walls is closing in on you. So you're in this little confined space. And so I find it extremely difficult. I feel like a different person when I come here, because I'm out of there. So I can only imagine what they're experiencing on a daily basis in the same sort of circumstances, just a lot more intense than what I do. So I am a pretty level headed person when it comes to mental health. And given my background of trauma and everything else, I'm kind of like a rare breed, as what my psychologist calls me, because I don't allow my past to dictate my future. If anything, now granted, what happened was horrible to me, but I'm grateful for that because it's made me who I am today. And that's the way you have to look. Gratitude is everything. So that's where you need to be at. But there's a lot of people out there that don't have the same mindset as me, and that do struggle. And I struggle when I'm at home and like within that confinement. So I can't imagine what it's like for those guys, you know.